I'm sorry for this taking so long to get to. I'm sorry for this being so late on Saturday. Try to wait until, we get every little piece of news that we're going to. Honestly, probably a pretty good thing that we waited so long because we just have some breaking news with Josh Allen that we'll get to at the very end of this. But as I set up this live stream, please, if you have not done so already, go down there, drop a like on this. If you're watching it as a video later on, make sure you fix your life, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell next to the subscribe button. That way you're actually able to come out to these live streams and hang out with us. And let me hide this and let you know that if you want to check out any of these player props, they can all be found on Underdog Fantasy with the link in the live chat, the link in the description, the link in the comment section. If you go sign up for Underdog Fantasy and use promo code FLOCK, they are going to match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to 100 and available in damn near every state. I know a lot of people think, oh, well, I live in California, I can't go on Underdog. Oh, I live in Florida. Oh, I live in Texas. No, you can do Underdog. Trust me. Go to the link in the description. You'll be able to know right away if you can or cannot. I think that should be it. I'm trying to stall as we set up the stream, but anyway, let's dive right into this bad boy. Let's start it off with Jonathan Taylor. So with JT, not only do you have Jonathan Taylor himself good to go, right? Jonathan Taylor is 100% playing off the injury report, different coaching staff coming in. Jeff Saturday has something to prove here, so I wouldn't be too surprised if he decided, you know what, let's lean on Jonathan Taylor. Let's go through, let's heavily funnel every touch we can with this running back because what? We're supposed to give it to Sam Ehlinger? Of course. Hook'em Lawrence, we will beat TCU today, but I don't think that you want Sam leading your offense down when you have a player like Jonathan Taylor. So if he is 100% good to go, and on the top of that, you also have Deion Jackson out against the Raiders, please make sure that you're going through and playing Jonathan Taylor. Now, full transparency, I actually think that you may have, Jonathan Taylor as a very intriguing less than bet on Underdog Fantasy. You can find this on Underdog, of course. They're so confident with Jonathan Taylor. They're putting the over-under at 95.5 total yards, where he's only hit this once. So I would go take the less than yards on Jonathan Taylor on Underdog. Link in the description, link in the comment section. But I would get him in your starting lineup. Now going over to our next guy, Ezekiel Elliott, someone that I thought was going to be good to go. Looks like that is no longer going to be the case. At least it's not guaranteed. There's an outside chance that Ezekiel Elliott does not play on Sunday. Now, I thought that he was 100% going to be fine. I thought that we were not going to have to worry about this anymore, but do not plan on starting Ezekiel Elliott. And if you have Tony Pollard, you better be leaving him as an option. Now, if I go ahead and pull this up, I believe they're actually playing later in the day, which is going to be a little frustrating if we don't get to know until warm-ups if Ezekiel Elliott's going to be good to go. Yeah, that's what I thought. They play at 3:30 tomorrow. So try to be a little creative on how we're submitting our starting lineup early in the morning. That way you can give yourself the option to start Tony Pollard later on, because obviously if Zeke were to miss, Pollard would just completely smash. Now, Kyren Williams off the injury report, off the IR. I know that every single person has told you to go pick up Kyren Williams over the past month. I'm going to stick with my stance saying this is a slow running back with no draft capital coming off a high ankle sprain. Now, I'm no rocket scientist, but we were able to crunch the numbers. I wrote a 100-page Dynasty Rookie Draft Guide this offseason, diving in historically on what matters with rookie running backs, rookie receivers, rookie quarterbacks coming into the NFL and what predicts fantasy success. This is going to be shocking to a lot of people, but very rarely, almost never, do you see a small, slow running back with no NFL draft capital coming off an injury go through and be productive. And please don't be relying on Kyren Williams. I would honestly rather have freaking Isaiah Spiller as a handcuff running back if we're looking at day 3 slower options from this year's NFL draft. And now going over to Washington, pretty big news here. Jahan Dotson going to be good to go. Now, y'all know we've been saying sell Terry McLaurin, sell Terry McLaurin, sell Terry McLaurin since before the season even started. I know you're not going to believe me, so feel free to please pull up Fantasy Pros and then count it down after you sort by points per game. If you're looking at points per game so far this season, Terry McLaurin, wide receiver 31. Curtis Samuel has more points in Washington than Terry McLaurin does. However, Terry McLaurin has a very high Madden rating, so I'm assuming that's why everybody views Terry McLaurin as some locked-in stud in fantasy. He's not. Sell Terry McLaurin while you can. Jahan Dotson has averaged more fantasy points per game than McLaurin so far this season. So I'm not too excited about starting Jahan Dotson. I don't want to start anybody in Washington, and I really want to urge you to go through and sell Terry McLaurin. Now, if we were going to start someone, it would be Antonio Gibson. With this guy missing, I don't know when you're going to get J.D. McKissic back. That's why we completely flip the switch, completely changed tunes on Antonio Gibson this week. And that if you have no J.D. McKissic in a full PPR format where Brian Robinson isn't getting involved as a pass catcher, Antonio Gibson is then interesting. Antonio Gibson can be someone that you look for because last week with no J.D. McKissic, he took the usual role that he had on a week-to-week basis, took the role that J.D. McKissic had, combined that into one, and that is going to be valuable in a PPR format. Now, going over to Green Bay, you already know this. This happened a while ago, but I just want to remind you, Randall Cobb out. Romeo Doubs is also going to be out with the high ankle sprain against Dallas as well. So this would initially make you say, okay, Allen Lazard, a must-start option. And yes, Allen Lazard is a must-start option with those two guys missing. But this name right here, I think could honestly be an interesting waiver wire pickup. We have sadly not been able to see Christian Watson in what we should realistically expect so far this rookie season because the hamstring injury in training camp, because the hamstring injury early on in the year, because the concussion and what we thought was a concussion in week 9, no idea what happened. I guess they just took him out of the game thinking he had a concussion. I don't know with the new protocols, yada, yada, yada. He is good to go. Prayers up for our best ball teams. I have a lot of teams with Christian Watson in best ball, and for the love of God, I really hope he gives us something. But in a shallow redraft format, I think he could be worth a roster spot. Now, quick side note, we are at 99 likes on this live stream. If you could go down there and drop a like and help us get to 100, that'd be awesome. But going over to Treylon Burks, Treylon Burks, also another rookie wide receiver that you're going to need to pick up off the waiver wire. With Burks, what you really want to see is you want to see this man play. We can't have Malik Willis if you're ever going to want to start one of these Tennessee Titans. But if Tannehill comes in, elevates the overall passing offense. If Burks comes in, and of course he's not going to be A.J. Brown, rookie season caliber. But hell, if he can come in and be the solidified wide receiver 1 here, and Tannehill were to bump up the passing volume, there's not much competition whatsoever from at least a passing game standpoint in Tennessee. Now going over to San Francisco, Elijah Mitchell in a spot where I guess he's going to be active. Obviously, you're not playing him. I wanted to bring up the fact that he's coming off the IR, and he's now the premium handcuff running back for Christian McCaffrey. If CMC were to go down with no Jet Wilson here, with no Raheem Mostert here, I mean, I think that Elijah Mitchell would have the backfield entirely to himself. So premium handcuff running back. Think of Elijah Mitchell very similar to someone like Alexander Madison. Now going over to our next situation, obviously, Mike Williams out. I mean, hopefully we can get him back next week. Hopefully we can get him back the week after. I don't know when Mike Williams is coming back. Keenan Allen, I mean, are you freaking kidding me? What is going on here with Keenan? Praying to God that we see him at some point this year. I mean, I apologize for everybody who I told to buy Keenan Allen along the way this season. Every week, I thought Keenan Allen was going to be coming back soon. And every week we said, oh, okay, could be an intriguing buy low candidate. I apologize. I am sorry with the re-aggravation of the hamstring a few weeks back. I just don't know what to expect. I'm really hoping we get him back sometime soon. But you would assume that this team has every incentive to bring Keenan Allen back with no Mike Williams here. Still not back. I have no idea when it's going to happen. Joshua Palmer, a must-start guy. And now, DeAndre Swift. Now, real quick, I see Dylan's question in chat asking Ayuk or Palmer for the flex. Great way to go into Mike Williams and Keenan there. You would go Palmer over Ayuk, not even close. But with DeAndre Swift, very similar to JT, a running back that looks like he is back here in Detroit entirely or moved off the injury report. I think that DeAndre Swift is still an intriguing buy low candidate, like we said with Jonathan Taylor over the past few weeks. With Swift, I'm going to be hesitant to tell people to play him this week because he only saw 10 snaps last week. Like, that is not going to get the job done. However, I mean, if you are in a situation where it's a full PPR format, we know he's a phenomenal pass catcher. I would be fine going with Swift. Now, Dameon Pierce, not on the injury report. Safe to play him. This was a little bit of a scare earlier in the week when he got added on. But going back to Detroit, we have Josh Reynolds out. Obviously, we know DJ Chark on the IR as well. You have TJ Hawkinson in Minnesota. So another reason why I think DeAndre Swift is somewhat appealing. They need pass catchers. And this is why Amon-Ra St. Brown is a locked and loaded top 12 wide receiver rest of season. Now, Brandon Cooks going over to Houston is looking like he may play. Now, the thing is, how the hell could you start Brandon Cooks? I mean, the spread on this game's only about 4.5, which I'm a little bit surprised about. I mean, I thought the Giants would be heavy favorites here over the Houston Texans. I mean, Las Vegas sportsbooks just don't care for the Giants at all, but still. You can start Cooks if you really want to. Nico Collins looks like he's going to play. I would just be so worried. Like, what's the realistic ceiling here with Davis Mills at quarterback? Now, Jerick McKinnon looks like he's questionable. Popped up on the injury report very late in the week. So, honestly, if you were to have Jerick McKinnon missing, all of a sudden, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who was our number one sell-high guy at the beginning part of the year, is maybe viable. Because with CEH versus Isaiah Pacheco, Pacheco may be the starting running back. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is the guy involved as a pass catcher. Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Jerick McKinnon have been sharing the passing down role in Kansas City so far this season. So a very similar situation to Washington, just in a much better offense, where, you know, Antonio Gibson was someone that we were saying to sell high at the beginning of the season because it was a 3-man running back by committee. But once you remove that other passing down running back in J.D. McKissic, Antonio Gibson becomes interesting. And once we remove the passing down running back in Kansas City and Jerick McKinnon, maybe Clyde Edwards-Helaire becomes interesting as well. Okay. But now Mecole Hardman not going to play. So please don't just go out there and drop Kadarius Toney. I mean, I understand why you would want to maybe move off Toney's. Gave you nothing the first weekend, but please be a little bit more patient. I think he could expand that role this week. Now going over to a couple of the important quarterbacks. So we still do not know if Matthew Stafford's going to play or not. To be honest with you, I don't know how important this actually is to track because you're not starting Matthew Stafford regardless. You're not starting Allen Robinson regardless. You're not starting any running backs here regardless. Like, the only person this affects is Cooper Kupp. And I would say you have to play Cooper Kupp no matter who's starting at quarterback. It's just going to change, obviously, the expectations that you have from Cooper Kupp. Instead of maybe being the wide receiver 1 overall in fantasy if Matthew Stafford plays, maybe he drops down to being a low-end wide receiver 1, high-end wide receiver 2, but you're playing Kupp regardless. Now, Josh Allen, this is not updated, okay? We have official report from Ian Rappaport. Allen is good to go. I don't necessarily know exactly how excited we can be about someone like Gabriel Davis because Davis is a borderline play. I mean, as is. And now that you have possibly a banged up Josh Allen here, I think we need to be a little bit more pessimistic. Now, when it comes to Josh Allen and the Bills, they went from being about, I believe, 7.5-point favorites to open up the week over Minnesota. Then once Allen missed back-to-back practices, they fell to only being 3.5-point favorites. And now that Allen's good to go again, they're back at 6.5-point favorites. So Vegas is telling us that Allen should be someone that still gives you the elite level quarterback play. I mean, obviously Minnesota's been pretty damn good. So to have that projection from Las Vegas sportsbooks, I think that is encouraging when it comes to Josh Allen. Please play him if you have him in fantasy. Now, Kyler Murray, going to be a game time decision as well. This is very frustrating. What sucks with Kyler is, you know, the reason you're starting him is because the rushing upside. You're starting Kyler Murray because he can go out there and he can get you 60 rushing yards any given week. But even if you were to play with a hamstring, he's probably going to be limited here. So I think that honestly, maybe if we have another option, like if you had, say, Kyler Murray and Justin Fields, you go Justin Fields and you don't think twice about it. Now, with DeAndre Hopkins, very similar to what we were saying with Cooper Kupp and Matthew Stafford, you're playing Hopkins regardless who's at quarterback. That's not going to be a big deal. However, if Kyler were to miss, I think you bench Zach Ertz. I think you bench Rondale Moore. I think the overall passing volume in this offense would dramatically come down. Maybe the efficiency could stay there, but I think if you remove Kyler Murray, they would dramatically slow down the pace of play, have less plays per game, and just try to have a slower team in general, or slower paced team in general. So Hopkins, you're starting regardless. James Conner, you're starting regardless. Be a little bit worried about the other options, though. Now, David Njoku not playing. I mean, we're really hoping that you were going to get David Njoku back in, but I mean, it kind of makes sense. Obviously, this is going to be a concerning injury, and at the same time, if you are looking at the Cleveland Browns, this is a team that has a bye week coming up. So why are you going to go out there and rush David Njoku back when you could possibly get an extra week of rest sometime soon? So Njoku, I wish he was playing, but I mean, no, he's not and can't really do anything about it. But that should be it. Of course, if you want to go take this Jonathan Taylor less than 95.5 total yards line, I mean, do it at your own discretion. If you want to go check out any of these props on Underdog, we don't need to see the Thursday night ones anymore. They're the Sunday. You can find the link in the live chat. Find the link in the description, in the comments section. They'll match your first deposit $1 for $1 up to $100. Available in damn near every state. Promo code FLOCK. You can find that. I think that should be it. Of course, thank you so much for supporting the channel. And we are 1 like away from hitting 200 likes in this live stream. If you have not done so yet, fix your life, drop a like. I'll be live in a couple hours again answering all your fantasy football questions for the weekend. I'll be waking up at the crack of dawn Sunday morning to live stream 5-6 hours before the games, as we usually do. But thank you again. I appreciate all of you. If you're not able to make it out to the live stream tonight, I truly do hope you have a great Saturday night, and hopefully we get to see you tomorrow morning.